Feeling like June, but not for long. I'm tracking the next cold front set to bring our temperatures back down into the 40s.
Also, incarceration crisis. The emergency meeting called today to decide what will happen to more than 120 inmates after an order from the state to clear out the county jail.
Shooting star. Sunday's shooting is the latest headline for Star Bar. We look into how many times police have been here, what's being done to stop it.
Your number one source for local news. This is WRAL, coverage you can count on.
But let's start tonight at 7 with this. North Carolina senators unveiling how they want to spend more than $30 billion over the next 2 years. Great to have you with us. I'm Dan Haggerty. Now, among the items in today's budget proposal, of course, Helene relief. The state has already approved $1.5 billion for Helene, but this new state budget would add another $700 million in relief. WRAL's Brian Schrader joining us now from the Live Center with a look over some of these budget items that you saw, state employee raises among them.
And that's, of course, a big issue for state employees, seeing what they could be getting in terms of raises. Under the Senate's proposed budget, the average raise for a state employee in the first year would be 1.25%. There would be higher raises, though, for law enforcement and correctional officers. For teachers, the average raise in that first year would be 2.3%, and many state employees would get a bonus of $3,000 over 2 years. That Senate budget proposal also doubles down on tax cuts, and Senate leader Phil Berger says that he believes that can be paid for with spending cuts for state government. Of course, now we wait to hear what the House budget proposal includes.
Right. A lot of back and forth yet to be done, but we'll keep checking back. Thank you, Brian. All right, let's get back to Kat. After this chilly weekend, a lot of a warm up today. A lovely 85 degrees. Kat spent most of the day out on the weather patio, but we had to drag you in here for 7 o'clock.
I know, it's rough. It was so pretty outside today, especially with the azaleas in full bloom behind me. This is who we can thank for that 85. The southwest wind, that's a warming wind for us, pushing in the warmer air from the Gulf. 83 at the moment at RDU, 81 in Cary, Garner, and Holly Springs, 82 in Apex and Durham, and 82 right now in Wake Forest. 84 there still, though, in Fuquay Arena. It's going to be a nice night. By tomorrow morning, we only dip down to 63 degrees for the low. It will be a very mild night and a very nice start to the day tomorrow, but changes are coming, and it's all because of this cold front that's on our doorstep. Here's the thing, the bulk of the storms will stay to our north, but I'll track the impact it will have during the day tomorrow coming up.
All right, talk to you then. Thank you, Kat. Let's get to this situation in Vance County. So they're still trying to clear out the jail there after some orders to do so from the state. The sheriff telling commissioners today, though, that they are sending inmates all over North Carolina to do it, some as far away as Cherokee County. So if you're in the car, that's about a 6-hour drive. WRL's Monica Casey shows us why jail administrators are saying that there are simply no quick fixes to the issues that they're facing.
Jail cells unable to be locked, fire alarm issues, contraband, and a lack of detention officers. All issues outlined in a letter from the State Department of Health and Human Services to the Vance County Sheriff's Office dated April 1st. Now, this latest letter has new requirements. The department said by today, the Vance County Sheriff needs to appoint 20 additional deputies to the jail and provide documentation of the number of staff scheduled to work. It also said the county needs to submit its written recruitment plan by tomorrow. Sheriff Curtis Brame and Acting Administrator William Mitchell told county commissioners in a meeting this afternoon that cannot happen.
That's a whole lot more complex than me just putting 20 names on a piece of paper. And it is physically impossible to have that done by 5 o'clock.
Mitchell says a new major for the detention facility has been hired and other new employees are on the way, but it may not be enough.
If we cannot get deputies in there, get COs to work their days off, I don't know what the next step is going to be.
Sheriff Brame called the current amount of overtime for employees unimaginable with lots of vacancies.
8 to 10 in the sheriff's office. About 24 to 26 at the detention center.
Well, that's very short.
Very short, and we have not recovered since COVID.
In recent weeks, 77 inmates have been taken out of the jail and 10 more are being transferred this week. Right now, there are 87 inmates in the jail, still well above the state's requirement of just 20. In Vance County, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
Now, commissioners there in Vance County did vote to pass a temporary emergency pay policy today. This will allow them to pay $50 an hour to deputies who do pick up shifts at the detention center. They also voted to raise the base pay for detention center employees. We'll see if that helps. Well, there have been years of turbulence and turmoil at a Raleigh nightclub. Star Bar is its name. It was the scene of yet another violent incident this weekend. 93 times, in fact, over the last year, police have been called to this nightclub. A burden to businesses and neighbors alike when you have calls like that coming in so regularly. Sean Gallagher shares what's being done now to improve safety.
A break from the chaos. On Mondays, this nightclub is closed, allowing for people who work and live in this area to go about their regular business because they know come Thursday through Sunday, it's a different world under the Star Bar. It's become almost routine for scenes like this outside of Star Bar. Yellow tape, police lights, Star Bar, a beacon of trouble.
I came outside, I was like, oh, that's okay. All right.
Alan Alston tells me he hears the chaos from the nightclub across the street.
But when it's like a lot of activity, we can definitely hear the echoes of it from here, for sure.
What echoes through this corridor? Crime from Star Bar. 93 times in the last year, police have been called here. Vehicle break-ins, shootings, assaults.
Here we go again.
City Councilor Corey Branch is more than familiar with Star Bar for all the wrong reasons.
I was surprised that they had their liquor license still.
In addition to calls for police, the business owner is delinquent on his taxes, owing the state nearly $70,000. Tried to call the club's owner, Giovanni McDougal.
At the tone, please record your message.
But he didn't respond to my calls or texts. Do you think this business should remain open in your district?
I don't believe this business should remain with the same activities that are causing unwanted criminal actions, such as someone shooting up a property.
So is there a way for this business to remain open in your district in your eyes?
Not in its current form.
Alston just wants to see more involvement in his neighborhood.
I don't really see too much of really anything going on in the area outside of just regular business. So just like maybe like an event or two, maybe like the city coming in and being like, hey, come over here to help us out with it, something, just something.
And Branch tells me the state has a nuisance law which can help with problematic businesses, but he says it's too challenging to implement. So he's hoping the state can step in and have the liquor license for this place revoked again in hopes that that will make an impact. In Raleigh, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
We mentioned a bit of the history with this place. Star Bar lost its license back in 2020. That was after a string of violent incidents. It then got reinstated a year later and was renewed formally in 2024. We'll see what happens now. Jury selection is underway for the man accused of murdering a woman. Dorian Thomas is charged with killing Emily Steinhoff. It happened during a custody dispute between Thomas and Steinhoff's sister in March of last year. This is a trial that's expected to take about 2 weeks, and if convicted, Thomas could face life in prison without parole. Let's get you caught up on some of the other headlines. These are the 5 things you should know right now. A 19-year-old was injured in a shooting near Biltmore Hills in South Raleigh. Raleigh police say it happened around 1 this afternoon on Fitzgerald Drive. When officers got to the scene, they found a 19-year-old, a man who was shot in the knee. He was taken to the hospital, non-life-threatening injuries. Police are still searching for the suspect, whoever pulled the trigger. We now know the name of the victim in a deadly recreation center shooting. According to Fayetteville police, 22-year-old Jalen Thornton was shot and killed at the College Lakes Recreation Center. Police were called to the scene around 5 p.m. last night. They found Thornton dead there at the scene. Police have not made any arrests in this shooting, and the investigation is ongoing. DMVs across our area are back up and running again after an internet outage brought operations to a halt this morning. The DMV can't catch a break, can they? The Department of Transportation says the hour-long outage started at 10 a.m. 30 DOT sites in and around Wake County were impacted, 12 which were DMV offices. Those included Raleigh, Wendell, and Goldsboro locations. Several locations extended their hours to try and help today due to that service disruption. But boy, it's never easy to go to the DMV. For most North Carolinians, the tax deadline is tomorrow. Some counties, though, received an extension from the IRS due to Helene. A majority of the counties that received an extension are in western North Carolina, but there are 2 in our area. So if you live in Nash or Lee counties, you have until May 1st to file your taxes. Opening night at Coastal Credit Union Music Park at Walnut Creek is postponed. Tyler Childers was set to perform tomorrow. It was a sold-out audience. The concert was moved, though, to Wednesday, April 23rd. In a post on Facebook, Childers' team said the show was postponed because he's not feeling well because of an illness. All tickets previously purchased will be honored at the new date. His shows in Charlotte and Charlottesville, Virginia have also been rescheduled. Hope he feels better soon. A part of South Street is closed in downtown Raleigh as the city starts to relocate Red Hat Amphitheater, the entire place. They're moving it. Drivers will need to go around a stretch of South Street from Dawson to McDowell Streets. In between Red Hat Amphitheater will transform. There's going to be more seating. There's going to be, well, a lot of it's going to change. On the first day of its closure, WRAL counted about half a dozen cars turning around when they saw the orange cones. It's going to take some getting used to. Business owners that we talked to said that they were happy that fans will still be able to come downtown to see their favorite artists.
If it's on a weekend, we get some late night crowd for that as well. Lots of times people stay overnight, so we'll get breakfast in the business the next morning.
Red Hat's transformation is part of a much larger project to expand the Raleigh Convention Center, also to add a new Omni Park hotel down in that area. Officials expect the relocation to be completed by the start of the 2026 concert season. Cell phones in schools. That was the first order of business for the brand new Student Safety Task Force. We're going to look at what they came up with after their first meeting. Plus.
It's been powering the university for decades, but students say the coal plant on campus is polluting their neighborhoods. Why they're protesting today and what the university is doing about it, up next.
UNC faced some renewed pressure today over its campus coal plant. Protesters say it's time for the university to follow through on its climate commitments. WRAL's Liz McLaughlin was there and explains the story.
For decades, UNC's cogeneration plant has been powering campus buildings, but community members and students say that comes at a cost. Today, they're rallying in Chapel Hill, calling for the university to stop burning fossil fuels.
Marchers filled West Cameron Avenue Monday, demanding UNC stop burning coal and gas at its cogeneration facility, located in a residential neighborhood just blocks from campus.
The power's come down.
The student-led Sunrise Movement says emissions from the plant contribute to climate change and pollute the environment.
We want clean air, clean water. We want our neighbors to grow up without health problems.
The plant produces steam for heating and electricity on campus. It also creates over 3,000 tons of coal ash annually, which is shipped to a landfill in South Boston, Virginia.
The fact that it is also a predominantly black community is very harmful to the people that are living there and to the standards for environmental justice that we are setting for the communities.
Community members join students in calling for a clean energy transition.
Coal is the biggest polluter of all electric generation in the world.
In 2010, the university pledged to stop burning coal by 2020. Now protesters say they're tired of broken promises and delayed action.
No, there's been alternative energies on the table for years, and every time we ask about them, it comes down to, oh, we don't have enough money for it, it wouldn't work with our infrastructure, there's bureaucratic hurdles we have to jump through, and there's not a lot of facts and statistics the university provides us with for those claims.
UNC says it's cut coal use at its plant by 67% since 2007, but students and community members here say that's not enough. They're calling for a full transition to clean energy. In Chapel Hill, I'm Liz McLaughlin, WRAL News.
Thank you to Liz. The university also recently opened its first commercial scale solar project there on the campus, part of its broader goal to reach net zero emissions by 2040. So let's talk about schools and kids and what a no cell phone policy would look like in North Carolina schools. That's the first order of business for a new student safety task force that created their very first meeting this morning. Conversations centered on a few things. how strict a new policy around cell phones should be, if this should go beyond cell phones, if the phones should just be kept away during the instructional time, and what no phones could look like in an emergency situation. A cell phone policy bill has also been introduced in both chambers of the General Assembly. It's going through right now. The task force has a goal of providing a best practices guidebook by June 3rd. Well, we're talking a lot about eggs. We got, Easter around the corner. This is a different type of egg they want you to look out for the invasive spotted lanternfly. They've been found in 17 states, including North Carolina, and these are nasty pests. They can cause some problems to plants, pose dangers to entire crops even. Officials are asking you to look out for and destroy lanternfly eggs before they hatch. The egg masses can be found on pretty much anything, trees, rocks. You can find them on your vehicle, equipment, lawn furniture, pretty much anywhere you look. You can destroy them by crushing them or scraping them. That's pretty graphic. All right, meteorologist Kat Campbell. Beautiful sunset behind me here. How about this shoulder? And just gorgeous weather today.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a Monday. It made the start to the week a lot easier with beautiful weather outside today. And the Bulls are back in town starting tomorrow. We'll have a little bit of a cool down tomorrow behind a cold front. However, we've got some exceptional baseball weather ahead this week. So try to plan to head out there one day. We'll be in the 60s for the first pitch the next couple of nights. But once we get to Friday, we turn the corner just in time for the weekend. Now, these are not the high temperatures each day. These are the temperatures at about 6:30 most days. 73 on Friday, 78 on Saturday. Phenomenal weather as we look ahead to Easter weekend. But in the meantime, we are tracking some cooler weather. The next weather maker gets here tomorrow in the form of a cold front. Just a 20% chance for rain with this front. It would be midday. And one of the biggest impacts will be blustery conditions. We expect the winds to pick up as the cold front moves through. And then cooler weather will follow. High temperatures dip down into the 40s. I should say low temperatures dip back down into the 40s Wednesday and Thursday. Hour by hour, the wind gusts pick up as we get toward 11 a.m. or noon tomorrow, around 20 to 25 miles per hour. It's during the afternoon and early evening that the wind really starts to ramp up, though, and it's going to be pushing in some cooler air. The good news here is that the storm threat is very, very low. The rain chance is very low. Most of the thunderstorm activity is going to stay well to our north with that front. But look behind the front, 49 in Minneapolis, 61 in Chicago, 83 in Raleigh still at this hour. We've got a dip in the jet stream that will follow this cold front, and that opens the door up for the cooler air to get pushed in from Canada. However, high pressure battles it out and pushes the jet stream right back to the north by Friday and the weekend, and that means if you are making outdoor Easter weekend plans, you are in luck. I mean, even the next couple of days should be pretty nice. 73 tomorrow, 68, a little cooler Wednesday. But once we get to the end of the week, the temperatures just look great. 81 Friday, 87 degrees on Saturday. For Sunday, Easter Sunday, it's mostly cloudy, 83. The bulk of the stormy weather should be in the central part of the U.S., but this will extend over into parts of Kentucky. One thing to watch is this front that's just north of us in Virginia. A couple models are trying to push it back toward North Carolina, and that would be what we call a backdoor cold front. It's something that we'll continue to monitor as a possibility, but right now that's not necessarily the most likely scenario until a little later in the day. Looking ahead this week, beautiful weather. I mean, no significant rain chances coming your way, which may not be the best news if you're gardening right now, but overall, we've got some nice weather to get outside and enjoy it, Dan.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kat. Coming up, we're talking about research in space.
So it's definitely going to be a first in a lifetime.
We are going to meet the North Carolina researchers who sent samples to space in today's Blue Origin flight. Our one last thing. I know today's Blue Origin flight got a lot of publicity today because it was the all-women's flight, and that was fantastic. But there's some other stuff that was really, really cool we wanted to tell you about because there was a kind of a piece of North Carolina on board. Students from Winston-Salem State sent plant samples into space during this flight. They're studying to see if crop plants can survive conditions in space for a certain period of time. And students from the university, including a junior named Gabrielle Irwin, traveled to Texas for the space launch, which was, again, an all-woman crew today.
I am so excited. I've never seen a launch in person, so it's definitely going to be a first in a lifetime. I hope we learn that anything's possible, truly. Plants can exist and thrive in space, in lunar and Martian regolith. It's possible. So getting all of those working parts in order and working as a team to make this very short period of time happen in space is incredible.
The professor, Raphael Luero, played an instrumental role in bringing the Astrobotany Lab, as they call it, to Winston-Salem State. The school is the only HBCU in the country with a lab dedicated to studying plants in space.
It's a big deal. HBCUs, MSIs do not often get an opportunity to fly experiments to space. And this is quite unique for us. Everything kind of aligned, allowing us to bring this lab here and make it happen.
Now that the Blue Origin spaceflight is over, students will use molecular tools to investigate how gravity influences plant growth. And we asked you earlier today if you would go on one of these Blue Origin space flights. We had, do we have the live poll results at the bottom? Yeah, so most people saying no, but by a slim margin. I know, Kat, we have talked about it before, and you would go in a heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely. And the work that those students from Winston-Salem are doing is so important. If we want to sustain life in space, we got to be able to eat some food, and it'll be really cool to see kind of what results they get back. Also represent my hometown of Winston-Salem.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that, but it is amazing that we're at that point where we're actually in space studying something like that with the idea that one day we might be growing crops on the moon, on Mars.
I wonder if it'll taste better.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Book a flight. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.